Okay, so this is kind of different from what I've usually uploaded to the channel, but I am game developer and I develop games. That's my WhatsApp status. So essentially, I've been working on a online survival game, and I just thought, wouldn't it be cool if everyone could see how I made it, like in progress? So this is like, in a way, Devlog 0.1 or Devlog 1. You can call it what you want. So essentially what I've got going is I've got Photon connecting me from a lobby to a server, and then I've got some rendering options for a campfire which use URP to shoot rays, and it makes it all fancy, and I have networked the players. I've also spawned an amount of grass that goes around this entire terrain just to make it feel a bit nicer. So I can show you this now. There's two input fields. I zoom in on them. You can create a room using a code, a string code, and then you join a room using another string code. So the plan is, like, you get on a Discord and you share the code, and then all your friends can join one room. So I'm just going to create a room called test, and it creates this room. So I am this player in the middle, and a health bar. I configured some health bar settings so you can mess around with the health bar health, and like it. So this, yeah, you can mess around with it. I'll go into depth on how that code works in a moment. And as I said before, here's the URP with the campfire shooting out arrays, and if you can see, I'll zoom in, these bits of grass. Another cool system which I have implemented is this inventory system. It's very Minecrafty, and I know, but I kind of like the Minecraft inventory system. But I've also sort of tried to include the Terraria system as well, since it's a convenient system and it works quite well. So each one of these white squares is a pod, which I've called it, and it has an amount and an ID depending on the ID, which I call type, depending on the resource inside it. So I set up some basic example ones, like if you had some wood or some stone or some coal in your inventory. You can pick these up and it moves it to a mouse slot, and you can drop these in any slot around the inventory. This is supposed to be armor, but I haven't configured that yet, and this can be your hotbar. And this is just your plain storage. So there's lots of things you can do. You can left click to pick up and drop any item and put it anywhere, or you could right click it to pick up one and then right click an empty square to drop it, or left click it. If you try and drop everything out in an empty square, it won't duplicate any items, it will just pick it up and drop it again, which is quite cool. Another cool command which I implemented is if you press middle mouse on a stack, you'll get half of it. This is the right click option in Minecraft, but I prefer the right click option in Terraria, where you take one. So in Minecraft, if you right click a stack, you can get half of it. But I like the middle mouse because it's a bit more control, and it will split it. It will also always give you the benefit of the doubt. So if it's an odd number like 25, it will give you 13 instead of 12. So then when it gets down to 1, you can pick it up still. So yeah, that's the basis of the inventory system. And now I'm going to dive into some of the code behind it. So there are two scripts behind the inventory, and one is called the pod script, and it manages the pod. And the other one is the inventory manager, which is like all the operations that the pods could do. So let's first look through the pod script. Essentially, what I've got going on is there's a type and an amount for every pod, and there's also a reference for images and the amount text, so you can assign the data to a UI. There's also a list of icons, so the type will search through this list. So if the type is 2, it will search for the second icon in this list and then set it to the image. It does this over here. So I implemented this register function. So if the pod has nothing in it, it will show nothing. But if it has something in it, it will show the strings and it will output all the data. There's also this point pointer click function, which checks if you left click, middle mouse click, or right click the button, and then calls functions on the inventory manager. So, and this just gathers components. So there's really not much going on in here. It's quite simple, but then there's a lot going on over here. So the point of this is to manage what happens when you've clicked on different pods. So it has a mouse pod as well. So it manages all the pods, and it also creates one more, the mouse pod. So if I pick something up, the mouse pod is what follows your mouse around when you pick up wood or stone or anything. So register just updates the mouse pod. It's the same as every other pod, just updates it. If it's got something in it, it will update it. Yeah. There's also a void update, which will sync. Well, it will sync the pods and UI's position to the mouse position, so it follows your mouse, and that's pretty cool. And if there's nothing in the mouse, it will just hide again, just to make sure. So here, this is logic for left clicking, and it takes 3 parameters. It takes the type, the amount, and the pod script that on the pod you just clicked on. And you can see my comments. It will just run through and check for all of these parameters and then operate when it needs to. Either, so like this one is swapping them, so it will set the mouse amount to the mouse. Yeah, you get what I mean. At the end of every click function, it will call a register to reset all of the UI. So then the UI has a chance to like catch up, so it doesn't lag or public void on right click. So this is the same as left click, but it also takes in 3 parameters, but it's for the right click button, and there's a lot more logic because I need to check if you can right click down into an empty cell, or you can't swap using a right click, so you need to check for a lot more things. And again, it uses the register. And then here's the middle click, which does another 3 parameters, and then when you middle click, it will take half of the current, and if it's even, it will just take it and place it. But if it's odd, it will add 1, so you always get that benefit of the doubt. And if there's only one thing left in the pod, it will close the pod, so close means set them both to 0. And it will also call register again. So yeah, I don't really know where I'm going to go with this project. The plan is for it to go quite far, and I'll try and upload devlogs every time something interesting happens in the development. There's also an itch page, which I will link in the description, where you can play the game right now in its current state, and I'll be updating that frequently, probably maybe 3 times a week. And yeah, I might not upload too many devlogs because working on a game and editing devlogs and doing all that stuff is quite annoying because it takes up a lot of time, and I don't have much time because exams are soon. But yeah, when I have time, I'll upload a devlog and I'll get things going. Anyway, for now, bye, and go play my game. See ya.